Welcome back to Magic with Class. I'm Jeremy Class. I'm sorry about the last video suddenly cutting off as I make more content. I will, figure out some of those more technological issues. And I appreciate any comments, any messages, any likes, any subscribers. Um, Anything to support the channel is very much appreciated. And I do this content because I want to support my love of the community, and I want to share my thoughts and opinions with all of you guys, um, for a game that I find amazing. No matter what the controversy of the moment may or may not be. So I was talking about Glenn when I was cut off, talking about the flavor and mechanics around Glenn. So as I was saying, I do not think Glenn is legacy or vintage playable. I think that he is a decent, pretty good commander. I think he's a little different from other blue-white commanders, and I think the flavor really fits his character both in the comics and in the TV show. So Glenn, he has Skulk, which basically lets him go unblocked as long as he has as long as his power is lower than any of the creatures trying to block him. And this represents in both the show and in the comics the fact that Glenn was always the best at dodging zombies and scavenging. In fact, in the TV show, he's the one that saves Rick, and according to Mark Rosewater, Glenn is the best at creatively finding solutions to the walkers, to the zombies, and he was the one that originally devised the plan to cover themselves in walker guts to avoid walkers, which is pretty interesting. The fact that he is very good at sneaking um, does to me make him blue, but I definitely agree his good nature and his willingness to always help and be part of the community and be part of the group definitely also makes him white. So I think the colors are spot on for Glenn. Now mechanically, he doesn't seem white blue. He doesn't seem Azorius. Skulk has the connotation of being a dark type of sneaking around, um, and the drawing cards equal to his power doesn't really seem blue white either. Also, a lot of people are saying that there's really nothing mechanically white about this card. Like he could have been printed in mono blue, except that his personality in the show and the comics really isn't mono blue, which is probably why they added the white. But if you're gonna add white to the card, he could have gained life somewhere on the card or something. Also, the drawing cards, when he does damage, the flavor is supposed to be that he's as he sneaks around, he's scavenging and he's taking stuff for the group. I don't think that's well represented in drawing cards. Because usually drawing cards equals to gaining knowledge, and he's not really sneaking around to gain knowledge. He's sneaking around to steal and to survive. So I think a better fit for this card would have been if maybe he stole, when he does damage, he steals artifacts maybe, or maybe just a permanent in general on the opponent's battlefield. I think that would have been a better fit. If anything, the flavor kind of feels like he should be blue black rather than blue white. But Glenn is definitely not black, flavor wise in the TV show or the comics. So they could easily have tacked on gaining life equal to the power when he does damage, or just give him lifelink straight up to make the card feel more white. So I think that's a little bit of a problem for me. As a commander, he's interesting because I don't think there's another blue-white commander that really focuses on increasing power. But that's another issue. Blue-white really isn't about um, increasing power. Yes, white does have a lot of honor of the pure like effects to boost creatures, and if you were making a commander deck, I'm assuming you would use all of those like static enchantments that just increase power. I think that would go really well in a commander deck in which Glenn was leading, in which he was the commander. But but they really needed to put something to make this card appear more white. But overall, it's not bad. The flavor's there. It bends a little. The color pod maybe bends a little to accept the flavor behind Glenn. But it's a card that I'm not disappointed about. I will say that all of these cards are pretty playable in Commander. They make mechanically interesting or mechanically unique commanders, and I didn't mention that was another issue. Now Glenn is a good Azorius commander that no other Azorius commander really does, and no Azorius commander really does the same thing as him. So if you want to build this style of Azorius commander deck, you're kind of stuck with Glenn as the commander until they reprint the card in using a magic name, or they make more Azorius cards with this strategy, which I don't think that they would do. On to the next card. The next card I want to talk about is Darrow. Now, Darrow is not in the comics at all. Darrow is exclusive to the TV show. He's not in the comics. He was made just for the TV show. So, Darrow, at first glance, when you first read the card, he seems terrible. He doesn't seem playable. Each turn, you're giving your opponent 3 2/2 creatures. That's a lot of creatures to give your opponent every turn. Yes, in a commander game where you're playing with 4 people, you can use it in a political way. Maybe give one player 3 zombies one turn, and then your next turn you're going to give a different player zombies, or you give it to the player that's most behind. You make an alliance with the player that you're giving the zombies to. But some people don't really like to play that type of political commander type game. But Darrow does also do some interesting things. He's the first red-green card I've seen with repeatable card draw not tied to your own creatures. Usually, red doesn't usually draw at all. If it does, it'll draw, like, it'll impulsive draw, or there'll be other restrictions. And green usually only draws based on its own creatures. This red-green card is mechanically unique because it's a repeatable card draw based on your opponent's zombies dying, which is why you're giving your opponent zombies in the first place. And he has another ability to tap and do 2 damage to a creature. That represents him using the bow and arrow. He is an archer, so I really think that he should have had reach or had some sort of interactive ability that that goes well against flyers. His card really is anti-zombie, which is another kind of weird feel for a red-green card. Nonetheless, it's pretty interesting. I didn't notice this at first, but I didn't realize this combo at first. But a lot of red cards deal, 2 damage or 3 damage to all creatures on the battlefield, or all opponents' creatures. So if you use a red board sweep right after you give your opponents the 3 zombies, you can draw up to 3 cards, which in red and green is like unprecedented. If you have a red-green commander, you normally don't think you're going to be drawing 3 cards every single turn. And in a deck properly based on Darrow, using cards like Pyroclasm and stuff like that, you definitely would be able to potentially draw 3 cards every turn, which is pretty interesting. So for that alone, I might build a commander deck based on Daryl. If I wanted to build a red green deck that draws, he's pretty much the only option. He's not very. I don't think he's super competitive. I think he is very interesting, very chaotic to play. I think the colors do match his personality pretty well. I think in the comics he's red green. He's very about his instincts. He's passionate, very action oriented. So I think the colors that they chose for him reflected his personality in the TV show really well. The mechanics don't seem Gruul. They don't seem red green. But a lot of people love when new colors do things that maybe they shouldn't, or just do things that they had never done before. So I do expect to see some Daryl commander decks running around. At the very least, these cards are different. They're different in the sense that these colors normally don't get these strategies, and the flavor of The Walking Dead is really pushing these colors into strategies that normally we don't associate with that color. Who associates blue with increasing power? Who associates equipment with green and black? Who associates card draw with red green? So I think that these cards, for that reason alone, may see a lot of Commander play. But then again, Commander Legends is also coming out really soon. So I think we're going to see some new commanders that do very, very unique things in Commander Legends, which is coming out, I think, now at the end of November. And I'm looking forward to that set. Expect a few videos and maybe a box opening on Commander Legends when it does come out. And when they start doing the spoilers, I'm probably going to review, give a first thought, my first thoughts looking at these Commander Legends spoilers for the first time, when they do eventually start rolling out more spoilers. I know some cards are already spoiled. And I didn't mention in my last video that the commander potential behind Rick, he's an amazing mono white commander. That's one of the reasons why I think they pushed the Rick card so hard, because people have been demanding that mono white be given more interesting commanders, more powerful, not even interesting, more powerful commanders. And Rick is powerful as a commander, powerful, but also he's kind of niche because he only works with the human tribe. However, humans are one of the strongest tribes, so I don't know how niche he really is. Most mono white decks will be running human creatures anyway, I think. So that was a little bit about Rick as a commander, rather than his play in potentially Legacy, Vintage, or other formats. So now we're going to talk about Michonne. When I first looked at Michonne, I either thought she was the weakest out of the bunch or Daryl. She's another card that doesn't, read all too well. But when you think about each of her abilities and what a deck featuring her would contain, she's a little stronger than I think people are underestimating her. So basically, when she enters the battlefield, you get two walkers, two zombies walkers. So that's already 7 power and 7 toughness across 3 bodies for 5 mana in 2 different colors. So that's already, decent. But then her other abilities make her, I think, a little stronger. And also the flavor is perfect. When Michonne entered the show and when Michonne entered the comics, she came along with 2 walkers. So when she enters the battlefield in Magic, she's coming along with her 2 walkers. I think the flavor is absolutely perfect. Michonne is also really famous for wielding the sword that she always uses. So she has an ability based on equipment. Basically, if she's equipped, you can choose a creature and it has to block her. This ability is really strong with Death Touch equipment. So I would recommend any deck featuring Michonne uses a bunch of equipment that gives her Death Touch. And the last ability, um, makes sure that she survives. So basically, when she attacks with two zombies, her two walkers, she becomes indestructible. So if she's also equipped with an equipment that grants Death Touch, she's automatically going to kill your opponent's best creature. And since she has indestructible, she's almost certainly going to survive. So I guess a deck around her would have a lot of equipment with Death Touch and a lot of zombies. And one perfect card for a deck featuring Michonne would have to be Glissa the Traitor. Not many cards in green and black interact with artifacts, but Glissa the Traitor is a card that interacts with artifacts, which means she interacts with equipment in some way. But also, Glissa is a zombie. And there aren't many green-black zombies in Magic the Gathering. So if I was making a Michonne deck, I think the first creature card I would put in is definitely Glissa the Traitor. If I already had a Glissa the Traitor deck, commander deck made, I would almost certainly throw Michonne in. They seem very much like they work very well together. I kind of wish Michonne would have had Death Touch when she would get Death Touch and Indestructible when she was attacking with her 2/2 zombies, because there's nothing really protecting the zombies. So you're gonna have to play more and more zombies each turn, which is why I'm saying that a Michonne deck would have a lot of zombie creatures in it. The flavor behind giving Michonne Indestructible is a little weird. I know what they meant, like when Michonne attacks with her zombies, humans will avoid her and zombies will ignore her. So that's interesting, but and makes her stronger. But flavor wise, it would have been more true to her character if let me see. It would be more true to her character if maybe she got hexproof from zombies, or maybe hexproof until end of turn. Because it's not like she can't be killed; it's that she can't really be targeted. So I think hexproof would have worked better than indestructible. Nevertheless, this is a commander in green and black that focuses on both zombies and equipment, and that's never been done. So if you're looking for a type of deck like that, this is the card for you. Glissa the Traitor works with artifacts in general, but she doesn't specifically call out equipment. Now, a lot of people are saying that equipment is a Boros ability, that it's a white and red ability, which is true. Most cards that focus on equipment are either in white or in red, but all cards have equipment, so all cards can care about equipment in some way. And this is the first commander in green and black that cares about equipment, which is pretty interesting. I don't think there will be too many more. So if you want to build a deck with equipment and zombies, she is probably your best bet. Or Glissa the Traitor. But the Michonne card, at first I wasn't I was kind of not too thrilled with it. I didn't think it was that great. But upon really thinking about the card, I actually like it a lot more. I will say that it was kind of weird for them, in my opinion, to make cards based on Glenn, Michonne, and Rick, because Glenn has been dead for years. So he hasn't been on the show or in the comics for a really long time. Michonne just left the show. Like, she's not gonna be. I don't think she's gonna be in future seasons, or future episodes. Although she is one of the more famous characters from the show, and Rick has also not been on the show for like 2 seasons, 2 or more seasons. So it's kind of strange that they would choose those three characters where they're like not really on the show anymore. Daryl was a good choice because Daryl was exclusive to the show, and I thought Negan was a good choice as a villain turned anti-hero, but the feedback from Negan hasn't been too positive, so maybe they should have gone with the governor, or maybe they should have gone with Carol or Carl. So Oh, one more thing I wanted to mention about Lucille, the legendary equipment that comes, and it's like the secret special car that comes in the secret layer that they didn't reveal until after you could order it. That card would work with Michonne as well. It is an equipment. Works decent with her, but it also works really, really well in a deck where the commander is Thraxamunder. Thraxamunder is a zombie in Grixis colors that gets stronger whenever your opponent sacrifices a creature. And since he's a zombie, he also works with any and all zombie tribal effects. Well, Lucille is an equipment that forces your opponents to sacrifice, working very well with Thraxamunder, and it also produces a zombie. So if you're making a Thraxamunder deck with a sacrifice and zombie theme, Lucille the legendary equipment works absolutely perfect in that deck. I have a Thraxamunder EDH commander deck, and if I had the Lucille legendary equipment card, I would definitely play it in that deck. It just works too well to be excluded. I may in the future make a deck list, a commander deck list for some of these legends. I play mostly commander EDH. Sometimes 1v1 commander, sometimes with 4 people, sometimes 2v2 commander. Commander is the format that I play the most, aside from limited and sealed. I haven't played standard in a while, and I really don't play any of the older formats. So most of my deck techs and most of my perspective, I guess, will be on this perspective of commander. I'm not like a super competitive player. I don't have Power 9. I don't have the 10 original duels. So I would say like most of my decks would probably fall within the 6 to 8 power level range. So I think I covered each card. Yes, I covered each of the 6 cards that are going to appear in the secret layer. So I'm really hoping to get some feedback on my videos. What can I improve with? What would you like to hear from next? What topics are you interested in me doing? So please comment, subscribe, shoot me a message. I will most likely respond. And I want to thank the community for always supporting me. And until next time.